All right, can everybody see that? Okay, so starting with, it's our northeast, so it'll cover Port Richmond and Northwest as well. We'll have our pre-service info loop, our 5-minute countdown. Well, our producer will count down band with the talkback mic. Then we'll move into our first song, The Joy, followed by our second song, Gratitude. And then into our worship leader transition, which will lead us into our 30-second greeting moment on the screen. Following that, we'll have our guest welcome moment, which will be led by our LP and another individual at the locations. This will cover our guests with our text TBC next slide. We'll have our band group underneath that. And then our cue to move into video announcements will be turn your eyes to the screens for these announcements. In our video announcements this week, it'll be one entire video covering our fasting season with an embedded video for our Easter invite. And then back to our announcements for in-person. Jalen is going to be leading this video. At the end of the back to announcements portion, he's gonna, or sorry, in the Easter invite portion that he's leading, he's gonna hold up an Easter invite card. He's gonna invite those in our congregation to do the same as well. And then he's gonna pray over it. And then at the end of the announcements video, he's going to say, okay, let's prepare our hearts for the word. Then we're gonna move into our message through broadcast. In this, we're gonna have at the Northeast, 2 graphs, a photo and a pie illustration on stage. PJ, I believe, with PJ and Lauren, Pastor Lauren. Okay. At the end, help me out here, DJ. He's going to cue keys and drums to come up in the Northeast.
Yes, keys and drums are going to come up at the last point or with 5 minutes left in the sermon. We usually will clarify that when PJ comes to run cue rehearsal.
Great.
Yeah, and then from there he'll lead us in the offering response.
Beautiful. Okay. From the offering response, we're going to move into our third and last song, Here I Am to Worship. Something a little different this week, I believe that we've done before. We're gonna have a macro with text to give on the screen. Gonna overlay in the upper left-hand corner. We're still gonna have lyrics, but that'll be on the screen throughout the entirety of the worship song. And then following our third song, we'll move into our closing verbal, while directing salvation to prayer table, and then encouraging those to take Easter invites and our see you next Sunday. And then band play out and pre-service playlist. Any questions for Northeast, Port Richmond, or Northwest before we move into Center City and Espanol?
Just a couple clarifying thoughts. The offering response, PJ is going to lead that over the network, like as part of the network message. He's going to say, he's going to pray, and then he's going to say, let's continue. Like, as the buckets pass, let's worship together. We are not doing point to point this week. If you had looked ahead in services, we were scheduled to do point to point, but we're no longer going to do that. So the handoff is going to go from the offering response back to locations, and locations are going to be doing that last song, Here I Am to Worship.
Thanks, DJ. All right, let's move into Center City. So very similarly in structure, pre-service info loop, there will be connection time, 5-minute countdown, moving into first song, The Joy, into second song, Gratitude, into the worship leader transition, followed by our 30-second greeting moment. Within our guest welcome moment with the same components, text TBC next, band to groove, turn your eyes to the screen to move into video announcements. We'll have the same video announcements video as the other 3 morning locations. And then we will have a video message from broadcast. And so that will come in through, is the encoder Great DJ. Encoder event.
Yeah. They'll play it through their decoder. And if
Encoder.
we're running into a couple, yeah. Oh, well, if we run into a couple issues, then we'll have a backup that they can put onto ProPresenter. So
Great, great. And then similarly, the video offering in the broadcast piece, with then following our third song, Here I Am to Worship, with the same TBC give macro in the upper left corner, followed by our closing verbal, and then our band play out and our pre-service playlist. Any questions on Center City before we move into Espanol? Great, okay. Okay, so Espanol, pre-service info loop, 5-minute countdown with band with talk back, moving into then our first song, Ask Me Why, into our second song, Forever Yahweh, into our worship leader transition, followed by our 30-second greeting moment, into live announcements for this week with TBC next, DJ, your help again, covering, I'm assuming, the same video announcements that we would have in other locations, but
yeah,
just
they'll
live.
cover the same video announcements. And I believe that they're we might have to get clarity on this, but I believe that they're going to have the Espanol Easter invite as well right before the message. Instead of like their bumper, they're going to play the Easter invite right before the message.
Okay, great. So we can follow up on that. Then moving into our message, this will include the same 2 graphs from our morning sermon, followed by our offering response in person, followed by our third and last song, Holy Forever, with the same text to give macro, followed by our closing verbal. We're going to direct salvations to back prayer table, and then see you next week with our band play out and our pre-service playlist. Any final questions on any of the order of services?
Hey Amber, it's Natalie.
Hi,
The
Natalie.
text to give macro, is that already in ProPresenter or is that going to be on the graphic already, like it has been?
Great question.
Um,
DJ, I believe that's going to be in ProPresenter, right? They'll have to add that on to
so
their.
to answer that, it's going to be in all of y'all's individual ProPresenters. For Northeast. We'll already have like the macros pulled in. One of the things that we've found out is that uh if we build things out with macros or props before exporting it, they don't necessarily show up in the right format. So locations such as Port Richmond, Northwest, and Center City, you'll be dragging in those props. And I already resized them and made sure that they're good to go on your own locations, respective computers. You'll just have to drag and drop that macro into the last song, the worship background for the last song.
Okay, cool. Does Jana know that for the Northeast? If not, I can communicate it to her.
Yeah, she does. She does know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Eileen. Hi, Amber.
Hi.
DJ, thank you for updating the macros for the Richmond Espanol. Appreciate you. My question, I guess, is at the end of this last song, and it could be that Espanol doesn't have anybody scheduled to do closing, so I don't know anybody else's. But for the closing, is the location pastor supposed to come up and do the closing? Is the worship person doing the closing? We just don't have anybody scheduled, so I don't know what the format is across the other locations.
Traditionally, we'll have the location pastor come up and do closing verbals.
Okay,
And then
so I'll have
uh
Mo go up. Okay.
yeah,
Just wondering. Thank you.
yeah. I mean, it might be different. I would just before key rehearsal, just ask Pastor Mo. But typically it is the location pastor that's going to do the closing verbals this week.
Perfect. Thank you.
I would say though, check with Mo because since he's preaching, he probably wouldn't want to be the one that would do it, you know, because the other locations, it's a little bit different. So they might not have just gotten around to
Yeah, I'm
schedule.
thinking he's probably gonna
somebody
have
for it.
Jasmine do it, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds like what they would do. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right. Then I release you for the evening. Everybody have a great Sunday. Let's go into Sunday with an attitude of joy, encouragement. Be ready. You never know who you're gonna meet that's there for the first time. And let's just be ready to speak into people.
Thank you, Amber.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
PJ.
Amber.
Of course.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Have a good- Bye.
Good night.
Bye.